How's it going, everybody? My name is John Bianchi, the Airbnb data guy. If you're watching this video, it is because you are trying to figure out where to invest across the United States. And this is a question that I get all the time. Where is the best place to invest in a short-term rental across the United States? And I have pretty standard advice to this because I've looked at a lot of the data. I know a lot of the things about the amount of money being made across the United States. And this is what I tell everybody. First off, hotels are absolutely everywhere. It doesn't matter where you go, there's always a hotel there, and hotels are making money everywhere they are. So then therefore there's money being made in short-term rentals absolutely everywhere you go. Now, I've seen the data and there's not a huge difference between one location and another location. Everybody generally makes about the same amount of money, and usually the real estate is met up with the amount of Airbnb revenue being made, right? It's very rare that you'll find super cheap real estate and super high Airbnb revenue, but that's really the goal, right? Now, keep in mind, most places, there's still a gap there and you can still make money. So this is the recommendation that I give to absolutely everybody. First, find somewhere close to you. If you're new to this, definitely find somewhere close to you because it's going to be so much easier to actually do a good job and perform well and make the money you need to make. Now, if you're in the middle of nowhere and you can't make any money on Airbnb where you are, then go somewhere you want to go because it makes it so much easier if you actually enjoy the place that you're in. If you want to do Airbnb, right? So that's step one. Step two, if you're still like, nope, I just want the most profitable spot, where is it, John? This is what I recommend. There isn't one spot that you can go to. And what I recommend is doing your homework, and I'll show you how I do my homework. And then you can determine and do the research to be able to figure out exactly where the best place to go is. So I always like to start with AirDNA. AirDNA has articles that they put out every single year about where is the best place to invest across the United States, right? And they give us all this information about what to expect, different trends that are going on. You can read through it, or you can just hop right to the list, and they're going to tell you all the different places that they recommend, how much they're making, what the home value is, what the investability is, and there's a whole list of this, right? And you can go back year by year and maybe see if you can find a place that's constantly on this list, or new places that are popping up on this list, and things like that. And that's a great way to narrow down throughout the entire country. The other way to go about it, and something that I do and look for, is I always look for the number, the average annual revenue, which is you're going to see right up here. So this is the average annual revenue on a monthly basis. So it's spread out over 12 months. You can see that the high is sorry, give me one sec. So the high is for July, the low is for January. On average, they're making about $2,500 a month, right? This is for Chicago, all across Chicago. Now, that is across 5,400 properties. So even though this number isn't large and it's not high enough for what we would need to actually be profitable, because there's 5,000 properties and that's an average, that means roughly about half are doing better and half are doing worse. So that tells me about 2,000 listings or so are doing way more than 2,500. And because there's 2,000, that's a large variance, which means the further I get away from that average, the more money is being made. So it tells me that there's likely a good amount of properties that are actually doing really well. And so if I can figure out where those properties are, I can then make some money with those homes, right? Now, the opposite is also true for smaller locations. So with smaller locations, such as this spot here, there's only 525 properties. However, on average, they're doing about $6,000 a month. So to me, that goes, there's very few properties, but they're all roughly making a good amount of money. And there's a smaller variance, only about 200 locations that are doing better than 6,000, but still that's actually really good. That's a really nice high average that I like to see when I'm going to look for properties. So with all that being said, you can take it to the next level and you can do what I do and add in a whole bunch of different places all around the country, add in all the number of Airbnb listings and what their average is, and try to see if you can find a place that has a good amount of listings and a nice high average annual revenue, because then you know there's a lot more profitability happening there. That's one way to go about it. You've got the list as well. You can find somewhere close to you. You can, somewhere where you'd want to be, something like that, right? Now, I will give you one little piece of advice that is a trend that I think I'm seeing right now. And if you find this useful, great. If you don't, it is what it is, right? But pretty much what I'm getting at is what COVID did is really make a lot of these like remote vacation areas blow up, right? So Gatlinburg, Blue Ridge, there's a lot of different areas that sort of just blew up in the past short little while. And what trend that I'm seeing is that the surrounding areas of these really popular areas like Gatlinburg, the surrounding areas are also blowing up at the exact same time and roughly making almost the same amount of money as the very popular spots, because you're getting almost the exact same thing, just not in the core center, right? And so a lot of people are going to like Pigeon Forge, which is just outside of Gatlinburg. And the real estate there is a little bit cheaper in comparison to Gatlinburg, but the revenue for Airbnb is roughly around the same. So that's a super interesting little trend that I'm seeing. And that's very common across a lot of these other like very popular spots. Sedona is another great example of that, and outside of Sedona, right? Now, on top of that, another trend is there are these really old cottage towns, right? So like really small cottage towns, there's not a lot going on there. Traditionally, people just had extra money. They bought a second cottage and it was the family cottage, and they've always just kept it as a family cottage. But then Airbnb investors are showing up and buying those cottages from the people who have had them for so long. And then they're renting them out to families every single week, right? So you go from one family being there all year to 52 families being there or more throughout the entire year. And if you do that, 50 times in one small little location, now you have so many more people actually showing up to this small little town, and it's kind of creating this new vacation area. And when you do that, you can, when that many new people show up to an area, a restaurant can be supported, right? And a new small store can be supported. And then all of a sudden you have all this growth in these little areas that would have never had growth, but because of Airbnb and the ability to make so much to drive traffic to these remote locations, you're seeing them kind of blow up. And the real estate for those locations are super small in comparison to the revenue, but you got to get there soon. And I don't know what the longevity looks like for those places. And I don't know how the trend's going to keep up after COVID. I'm just kind of telling you some little insights that I'm seeing as of today, which is, April 15th, 2020. Okay. So anyways, those are my insights. That's my recommendation. That's how I tell everyone to go about it, doing it. That's how I go about doing it. And I hope that's been useful for you. If you're on one of my pages right now and you're trying to decide which location to purchase, or if you want to purchase a report and you're still stuck, you still can't figure it out, you can always reach out to me. My email is likely on the page, but if it is not, you can always reach out to me at hello@pointanalytics.co. And we can hop on a call. We can do some consulting. We can figure out exactly where you need to be to make the most amount of money for your dreams, your desires, and what success looks like to you. Okay. So anyways, hope that's helpful, and I'll see you soon. Bye now.